everybody, welcome back to another Slimefun tutorial here on my channel. I'm your host Boomer, and I really hope you enjoyed that introductory video to Galactifun. Just a heads up for those who are on my Discord channel, I released that video to them early, and coming up now we're going to start putting together content that's only going to be available on the Discord channel. So if you haven't yet joined, please do. The link is in the description. So Galactifun, to get into what it is, it's based off of Claytech, which was an interstellar traveling add-on to Slimefun, which unfortunately has been dropped to the wayside, has become abandoned. There is a fork of it in Chinese that's being maintained. However, for us today, we're going to focus on Galactifun, how to find planets, how to get where we want to go. And you can find some information in the guide, but ultimately it's going to take some work and some effort. Do not expect to master this in an hour, a day, or even a week. For you to get through this entire pack is going to take you some time. So let's start by getting into Galactifun. We've got some equipment to get into outer space. We have a ton of resources, rockets and materials and gases and other resources. We've got different machines, of which half to build. You've got to go to other planets to begin with. Different blocks that we're going to harvest on all the different planets and moons that we're going to visit. We can get some basic information about the universe and where we can go flying off to. We've got the assembly table, which is like the Infinity Expansion Workbench. It's a 6x6 crafting table. I'm going to assume that you're smart enough to know how to craft. I'm not going to bother taking you through that. I'm pretty sure you can figure that on your own. But if you don't know how crafting or power works, please read some of the basics and watch the tutorials that are on my channel. And then relics are things that we're going to pick up along the way as well. And so to get started, let's go ahead and let's see, where do I want to start? Moon cheese, ew. Moon cheese is dropped on the moon, huh? Bummer. All right. Well, hopefully we're not going to eat too much of that. So, all right, let's talk Galactifun. So we're going to go traveling. So there's a few things that we need. One, we need a spacesuit. I actually happen to be wearing my spacesuit right now. Let's go ahead and talk about the spacesuit. So it consists of four things: a helmet, a chest, a pants, and boots. Now you'll notice each one also has different levels of cold resistance. Now there's three different types. There's cold, there's heat, and there's radiation. Based on what you start learning about planets and some common sense stuff, Galactifun was built to be really close to replicating life. Now it's not going to be perfect, but you go into outer space, you know what you don't have is an atmosphere. You need something to keep you from freezing to death. And you need air in your suit to be able to breathe. That's kind of basic 101 of going into outer space. So there's nothing to breathe. There's nothing on any of the planets. So you need a spacesuit until you can create somewhere built on one of the planets an area for you to breathe in without needing a spacesuit or freezing to death or frying to death, because there are some hot planets here as well. So I would recommend you should build 3 sets of suits. One is all cold, one is all hot, and then there's another one that's going to require some heat and some radiation protection. We'll talk more about those in a minute. But here's how you add it. You can take the resistance that you need, whatever it is, hot, cold, or radiation, put it in a spacesuit upgrader, and 5 seconds later it's going to produce your helmet with the first piece on there. So the helmet can hold 3, the chest plate holds 3, the boots and the leggings each hold 2. Once those are on, you'll have a fully prepared space helmet, or all 4 pieces, as I happen to have right now. And then to get oxygen on it, you need to put them in an oxygen filler. Now, it takes, in real life, it takes 30 minutes to fill up all 3,600 units of oxygen. When you are in outer space, that will last you for 1 hour of real life time, not game time, real life time. I would recommend you take 2 spacesuit chests with you. 2 fully charged to start with, and then take a oxygen filler, power supply, and a regulator with you. That way, if you need to stay up on there for a long period of time and do some mining, some resource collection, you can do that and then swap out your chest plates, because it takes 30 minutes to charge. It's good for 60. You will always have an oxygen source ready to go. Otherwise, you slowly start taking, your health will start to drain out, and eventually you'll just run out of air. So now that we've got heat and cold covered, and you'll see that as you discover other planets using the analyzer and the observatory, you'll learn what planets require what. Now again, basic sense says if you go into outer space, you need cold protection. So before we get to there, and again, my suit has all 10 cold protection, so we're more than covered. Before we can look and see what outer space needs, let's look at how do we get into space. Well, we need a launch pad. So you lose 8 launch pad floors, and in the center, you put the launch pad core. This allows you to place your rocket. Now again, I'm going to assume that you are more than capable of crafting your rocket, but we'll look at the recipes here real quick. So we'll go into the assembly table recipes, and these are the Infinity expansion style recipes, the 6x6 workbench. So you can see we have the recipe in here for a rocket, nose cones. Our heavy duty sheet makes out the shell. We got some processing units as computers, some life support modules. We've got fuel tanks, and we've got rocket engines. So when you open this, you can actually go to the recipe, pick out whatever it is, and you can place it, and then simply inside of here, we click here to craft, and then boom, you've got your recipe right down here. You take it out, we've got our rocket. So now we have everything we need. We have a spacesuit with cold protection, we have oxygen, we have rockets, we have fuel, and we have a launch pad and a core. Now before we launch, when you get into outer space and you land on the moon or Earth orbit, whichever you go to first, you will get your rocket back in a chest, but make sure you bring fuel with you and make sure you bring another set of launch pad and cores. Otherwise, you're not getting back without dying one way or the other. So place your rocket. We can put our fuel right where it says insert fuel here. You put it right there. This is for your cargo. You can bring some cargo with you as well. All right, so now we're going to select where we can go. So inside the universe, we have the Milky Way galaxy. This is our solar system. Now, when you click, this is not Jupiter. We're actually going to go to the moons of Jupiter, but you'll see nothing is here yet. So we have not discovered any of Jupiter's moons. What about Saturn? We have not discovered any of Saturn's moons. The only thing we have right now is Earth. And of course, we're here. So when we click on Earth, we can either go to the moon, we can go to Earth orbit, or we can simply come back to Earth. Now, as far as getting anywhere, fuel is key. Regardless of the 6 types of fuel or 7 types of fuel that there are, the chemical rocket, which we have right now, is 6 different kinds of fuel you can use. You can use oil, you can use the fuel buckets that we picked, methane, hydrogen, hydrocarbon, and ammonia gas. Those can be used in the chemical rocket. And the ion rocket only works with argon gas. And we'll work through on how we're going to harvest all those, what we're going to do to gain all that. For now, we simply just want to get into outer space. So each piece of fuel type, regardless, is only good for 2 million kilometers. Our rocket has the ability to hold 10 fuel buckets, which means the furthest a chemical 1 rocket can travel is 20 million kilometers. Lucky for us, the moon and Earth orbit aren't that far away. Okay, so we're going to go to the moon. Are we sure we want to go to the moon because we're going to burn up our fuel? So yes, you can pick your starting coordinates. So I'm going to just say, let's go to X100, Z100. Don't worry about Y, it'll launch you to a safe spot. So we're going to get a few messages here. We might even be able to thank Biscuit if that comes up. Oh, it didn't come up this time. Okay. So we are going to the moon. So now we're going to flip over into game mode survival. So we are real to prove that we are okay. Here's our chest. Here's our chemical 1 rocket. So now we have our fuel. We can build our launch pad. So I'm going to put the launch pad and all of that in there for now. All right, so we are looking for a few things. On the moon, first thing we need is moon dust, which is what you're looking at. This light gray concrete powder is actually moon dust. We need moon dust to make the observatory, in addition to 4 iron blocks and 4 pistons. The moon dust will allow us to make an observatory to discover the other planets and more information about them, like how far apart they actually are, which ones we can go to. Now, somewhere up here, there's also moon cheese. Now, I did get it once from having a mutant creeper explode on me. Now, I don't know if it dropped out of the moon rock, if it dropped out of the dust. Additionally, on this planet, okay, so here's our moon rocks, right? It's made out of andesite. We also have gold ore. That was nice that it showed up pretty quickly. So we've got moon rocks. Hey, look at that. You can get up a whole lot faster, too, with this Jump Boost 4, I believe we have, right? Yeah, Jump Boost 4. All right, so now we want to find mutant creepers. They are charged creepers. However, they are not aggressive towards us to start with. So we got one up here. We actually might have two. So by default, they're friendly little creatures. They won't do anything unless you do something to aggravate them. So we're going to get to a spot, and they drop what's called mun powder. Now on my sword, I believe I have sharp 5, looting 3. I'm going to attempt, to get him to drop one. Now I need to get to a safer space so I can back up a little bit easier, and hopefully I can do this. PvP is not my thing. I'm definitely not known for it. So hopefully I won't get him to blow up. There we go. All right, great. He dropped us some mun powder. Now, at some point during this game, we're going to attempt to create a mun powder farm, because you do use it for a couple of recipes back as we're creating certain machines and certain materials. The other thing that you're going to see on every planet is relics. So we've got both types of relics here. So we're going to go ahead and mine these up. We'll take them back. We'll talk about relics in a different episode. Now, the moon is exactly what you see. On the surface is moon dust, 2 to 3 layers deep. Below that is moon rock. And inside of all that is gold ore. So we're going to navigate our way back to 100, 100. And we're going to go ahead and head back to Earth. So there's our chest. All right, now I do want to show you something. So you can see I am fully charged in hearts and food. So if I take off my chest plate, I'm not freezing. I still have enough cold resistance that I'm not going to freeze to death. Now, in time, I'm going to run out of oxygen. Now, I really don't want to do that, so I'm going to put my oxygen back on. Oh, that's interesting. There we go. Okay. Slight delay in catching up there. I've got a whole thing, a bunch of things going on this computer right now, so probably just created a little bit of lag for a moment. All right, so let's go ahead and grab everything and let's go home, right? We want to get back to Earth. So this nice thing is that the launch pad will stay here, so when we come back, we'll be good to go. So again, we're going to place our rocket, we're going to provide it fuel, and we're going to say, okay, I want to go home. So on Earth, let's go back to Earth. Yes, we want to use the rocket. Coordinates, let's go, let's jump in the air. 5 by 5, so 5x, 5z. Oh, look at that. Somehow I harvested some moon cheese too. Ew, who wants moon cheese? Thanks, Biscuit. All right, and so we are on our home planet. There's only one problem. Instead of y equals minus 62 where I was, we're at y equals 316. So I'm going to just fall down, go into creative mode so we don't die on the way home. We should see our base here in a minute. There we go. Beautiful. Alrighty, guys. So that is the basics of getting started. That's what you absolutely need to do in order to get to the moon. So from here on in, we're going to start building the other machines. We're going to talk about how do we get to the other planets, how do we observe, what's the purpose of the observatory, the purpose of the analyzer, all the other machines, what we have to harvest, and we're going to actually walk through the entire process logically through the game to find every planet, to get to every planet, to discover all the resources, all the relics, and everything Galactifun has to offer. So I thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And don't forget, when you're playing Slimefun, you gotta go boomer or you gotta go home. We'll see you later.